obviously pretty breaking news yesterday with Elon and Starship. From my perspective, I think it's absolutely unbelievable. It's a historic moment. It's the biggest ever moving object, I believe, and successfully launched. But you go to the legacy media, and the headline is Elon's failed, the rocket's blown up, and is this the end of SpaceX? I saw. What's your take on what happened yesterday, and is perhaps an example like the BBC example the other day of why the legacy media is perhaps using the word legacy to describe them?
Well, one important thing so first of all, I think it was a huge success, right? I think if you go and you say, look, we're going to build a big ass rocket, and if it doesn't just explode altogether on the launch pad, because how many engines were firing on that thing is incredible.
The thrusters,
if this thing, if it even pops up a little bit, like that's a success, right? Yeah. And then they got it to fly to max Q, which is like, holy crap. So, I mean, no, totally a success. And this is the problem with trying to do the work in public. And this is actually, to some extent, my thing about why it's important for the public to have a chance to actually understand what's going on. If they continue to wait on, I'll say, legacy modes of informationing to help them do sense making around this current moment in history, then they're going to always continue to be left behind, confused, feel disempowered, and all these different things, right? And so that's like, if you watch, there's a great movie called The Right Stuff, which is about, you know, the Apollo, Mercury, all the way to Apollo and Gemini, all these things. And one of the great things in the middle of that movie is they have like all these shots of like the failed rocket launches and explosions on the launch pads and all these things. You know, this guy right here didn't go up except through a whole bunch of exploding rockets either. Like, that's just kind of what happens. So I think it's absolutely, you know, you're making a very good point that when traditional media basically holds itself to such a low bar and it makes so little demands of its audience that it feels like it has to spoon feed them like they're fifth graders, then guess what? You're going to filter. What you're actually doing is you're filtering for an audience that self-selects into wanting a fifth grader level of understanding of the world. And those people are going to continue to be, again, confused. They're not going to be able to understand what's going on. They're going to, you know, just be kind of clueless. And so, but that's also, that dynamic is of course shifting quite a bit, but it's hard. I think one thing to just really for everyone to be aware of is we are going through a historic moment in human civilization right now. It cannot, you know, this is the feasibility that we've seen around LLMs and what they could do. You know, it's at least as important as the invention of the PC. It's probably as important as the invention of electricity or the printing press. Right. It is that level of foundational transformation. Most people living today are aware that they've gone through kind of an important, like they're living very different than people 100 years ago. So they're probably aware they've kind of gone through a bit. I don't think they have any clue of what's about to happen. Because it is an exponentiating technology. Once you throw LLMs at drug discovery, material science, supply chain optimization, economics, policy, you know, modeling out the effects of policy and being able to call politicians on it before they get elected, like we can change everything about how this works, all of it. But first we have to have the courage to do it. The innovators and the visionaries doing it have to not be, you know, killed by people with pitchforks that have a fifth grade level understanding about the world, right? I think that's kind of an important moment that we have to get through here in history.
For me, the post-GPT era, I actually use that term a lot.
The chattening. After the chattening.
It feels like the first time where I felt exponential growth happen. You know, if you look at any chart, right, it tends just to go up and up and up and up, and it feels like we're now at that point where more is going to start to happen in a month than happened in a year, then more will happen in a week than happened in a month, then more in a day than a week, and so on. And I feel like that's going to actually start being felt by people, not just read about in theory, but people are going to see that in their day-to-day lives. And we're seeing that with every company trying to jump on AI, and most of it's going to collapse. But a lot of, some of these examples are going to take off, and they'll, in 2023, there'll probably be a couple of companies built this year which don't exist right now, which will become billion-dollar companies. Which, dare I say, it will
only
be
a couple.
I mean,
only a couple.
A lot.
I think it's gonna be quite a few of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're going to have, look at Midjourney. It's got like 11 people. I mean, you know, there's going to be teams of really, really small, talented people, which are just going to run around the rings around the big corporates that haven't innovated and haven't kept up, similar to the legacy media example, which we talked about, right? Whereas a podcast nowadays can get more views than Fox News or CNN, which is amazing. But yeah.
Hey, thanks for watching this YouTube video. If you want to see more like this, please remember to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.